Hello everyone, so on the 1000 subs competition video that I did the other week, I asked everyone to throw out some suggestions for different videos that I could do. And one of the ones that came up quite a lot from various different people was doing a kind of run through of all of the different equipment that I use and everything that's in the brew shed basically. So that's what I'm going to do tonight, and hopefully it will just give you a kind of overview of everything that I use equipment wise and how I have the brew shed set up and everything like that, because obviously I've touched on it in lots of different videos but never really done it all as a you know, consolidated video about the stuff that I use. So let's go and check out the brew shed. Okay, so first of all, just talk about the shed itself a bit, I guess, because that's probably my best bit of brewing equipment. It's 16 by 8 foot shed, and as you can see, when I got it, I lined the walls with plywood and insulated the gaps in between with polystyrene sheets. I did that on all the walls and the doors, and I also eventually ended up insulating the ceiling as well with some of this reflective bubble wrap stuff. The floor is laminate flooring, again with some underlay stuff underneath, so it's not perfectly well insulated. It still gets a bit cold and a bit hot in the winter, in the summer, but it does help to moderate the temperature changes a little bit, so that with a little bit of heating. So I use some of these greenhouse tube heaters down here in the winter just to stop it getting too cold or anything freezing. You can keep the temperature at a decent kind of cellar temperature in the winter fairly easily. So where should we start? Let's go over and start with kind of storage. So quite a few people wondered about these blue barrels that we've got over here. So they are what I use as a grain store. So in this one I've got all of my specialty grains, crystal malts, dark malts, roasted malts, etc, etc. And in this one I've got my base malts. So I think there's a bag of Maris Otter in there, some lager malt, a bit of wheat malt down there, and Vienna, Munich, that sort of stuff. I've also around the corner here got a little fridge freezer unit, and in the top is where I've got all my hops. So they are vacuum sealed using a vacuum sealer I picked up from Lidl, and obviously kept in the freezer at all times as well to try and keep them as fresh as possible, which seems to work quite well. In the little fridge unit underneath I've also got quite a bit of storage for bottles in there. So I've got quite a few bottled beers, but I also use it for yeast storage. So I've got some dry yeast and a bit of liquid yeast there. That was the one that David Charles Milne sent me. It's a little bit past its best before date, so I need to use that one at some point and get it into a starter to make sure that it's okay. And also in the bottom there I've got a load of, well, there's some pH testing solution there for calibrating the pH meter, but I've also got a whole load of these slants. So I've got a video on how you do these, but these are various different strains of yeast. So that one is the WLP 802, which is the Czech lager yeast. So as you can see, these don't take up much space, and it allows you to keep quite a wide range of different yeasts in stock, which you can then rejuvenate with a few starters back to a workable quantity for brewing with. Check out the video in the link that's going to pop up there if you want to learn more about it. So that's where all the ingredients are. When I get to the point that I want to do something with them, I've got my computer and stuff in here. That's normally where I sit, where I'm doing my videos, and running Beersmith free. So I've got my recipes in there. I also keep use it to keep an inventory of everything that I've got in stock. So with Beersmith free, if you add stuff into the inventory and then bring up a recipe, so let's open up Founder's Porter clone, which is one I've been meaning to do for ages, since I tasted the one that Rusty Homebrew sent me, which was really good, and I really like Founder's Porter anyway, so definitely going to try this. But anyway, I digress. The ingredients there, you can see, are all logged in, and if you have selected the one that's in your inventory, it will tell you how much you've got, whether you've got enough of it. Bad example, because most of the stuff on there I either haven't got in the inventory or haven't selected the correct one from the inventory for it. But anyway, once you've got the recipes in there and all the ingredients are entered into your recipe, if you click this button up here, remove inventory, it will automatically update the quantities in here and remove them. So it's a great way to keep track of what you've got in stock, and whether you need to buy new stuff for different recipes and so on. Yeah, so that's computer. Let's get over to some of the brewing equipment. So that is my boil kettle. At the moment it is full of water that I've run through the RO filter down here. So again, there's another video on that I'll put a link up to, but that's the RO system that I've used to filter all of that water. At the moment it's all in my boil kettle, because the little boil bucket that I've got here, which I normally use for an HLT, the element on that has just blown recently, so I'm kind of using this to heat up the water and then fill up the mash tun off of that. So that is a 56 litre boil kettle. It has got 2 elements in there, so that's the 2.4 kilowatt elements, same as what I've got in that other HLT bucket. I bought this off of the homebrew shop, I think. It only comes with 1 element fitted as standard, so I had to fit the other one myself. 1 element is not enough for brewing anything near full capacity on this, so there's no point trying to use it with 1 element. In my opinion, it will take hours and you won't get a full proper rolling boil off of it. But otherwise it was a good setup, so decent quality ball valve tap, came with the thermometer and the sight glass as well. Now if I was going to get another one, I probably wouldn't bother with a sight glass, to be honest, because they're a pain in the ass to fit. You usually have to mark them up yourself to make sure that they're accurate, and they just get in the way a bit, to be honest. You have to pull them apart to get them cleaned. Tends to be fairly easy to leak if you knock it when you're moving the thing around. Yeah, so I'd rather just get something that's etched markings next time, to be honest, or if I do ever upgrade from that. Talking about the HLT bucket thing there, that's probably something that I will upgrade next, and maybe get one of the T-urns, so a bigger capacity T-urn, so 40 or 50 litres I think, because that's about 32 litres to the brim, and that's actually not quite enough to get all the water in. So I think I've got nearly 35 litres in there, so I'd have to kind of top it up. So that's kettle, HLT. If we look up here, there's some fermenting buckets and a bottle tree, but behind that is the mash tun that I made myself. So again, there's going to be lots of links to different videos in this, because most of this stuff I've done videos on before. There is a whole video on how I made this. It basically follows the there's a guide on Instructables, and it's kind of an adapted version of that. My one I built so that it would have a more like a bottom draining fitting on there. So I use that as my mash tun, and just quickly, when I'm using it, I line it with this, which is intended as a brew in a bag filter, but if you get one of these and use it to line your mash tun, I find it makes it really easy for cleaning up, because you can lift all the grain out and in one go, and also it just helps to prevent stuck mashes and stuff like that, and you can always lift the bag up and give it a bit of a wiggle if it is a bit of a slow mash or sparge draining through. So that's a really useful bit of kit. What else have we got around here? So down the bottom there is my grain mill. Guess what, there's another video on that. So that's the Bulldog malt mill. It served me really well, to be honest. It's a bit rough around the edges, but it's been going for, I think, best part of 2 years now, and hasn't broken yet. Lots of empty storage boxes. Another link to a video there on why I use those for FVs rather than the more traditional buckets like this with airlocks and so on. That one there I use for bottling. So this one here is my bottling bucket, because it's got the tap on there. Most of the time it's full of Star San. Various odds and sods in the boxes there. There's a whole load of water treatment stuff up the top here. So some little drug dealer scales for measuring stuff out. Various minerals and so on. Some phosphoric acid. I've also got some CRS up here, although I tend to stick with the phosphoric acid now that I'm using RO water. Up the top I've got a couple of pressure barrels. There's still a little bit of Hobgoblin clone in that one, but to be honest that's probably gone well off by now after it's been in here all summer. I'm not sure if I'm going to bother using the pressure barrels anymore, to be honest. Once you start kegging and you've got lots of bottles and stuff as well, they're a bit of a pain in the arse. There is another video on them though that you might want to watch if you are having any problems using your pressure barrels, but I think at some point I might bin those off and not bother, because I can only really use them during the winter because of the temperature, and yeah, I'm just not that keen on them anymore, to be honest. So that's kind of everything over there. There are a few other normal shed things in here, as you can see, but nearly all of it is kind of dedicated to brewing in here now. So yeah, the customary lawnmower on the wall. There's a few bits of my archery gear in here as well, actually, if I just point you up there. I've got loads of odd arrows and things that I've made up. So archery is another hobby of mine, and well, until recently I was shooting a horsebow, which is a kind of traditional Eastern style bow, recurve bow, and yeah, I've made up some of the arrows for that myself as well. But for anyone who's interested, I'm shooting bare bow Olympic recurve now instead, because the horsebow broke. Anyway, yeah, some other bits there. I used to do quite a bit of electronic stuff for guitars and so on. Not doing so much at that moment, but I've still got all the kit for that. Juggling clubs, won't go into that right now. Another little hobby that I don't really do anymore, but a few bits left from it. So that's a balsa wood model plane that I made, airbrushed that myself. They're supposed to fly if you put a bit of rubber band in them, but they usually just crash straight into the ground. Anyway, back to the brewing gear. So fridges. That's my main fermentation chamber. I'll put that kind of calendar on the front so I can log what's going on, and see at a glance when stuff needs to come in or out or be dry hopped. Shock horror, at the moment there's not actually anything fermenting in there, because I've just bottled the split batch of Rawaka and Kohatu, which is looking like it's clearing up quite nicely in the bottle there. That's only been in the bottle for a few days, which is good. I've got a little tube heater at the bottom. I don't think I did a video on how I built the firm fridge because there's so many out there, good ones out there already, but it's the usual thing with the tube heater underneath. I actually fitted a couple of, I don't know if you can see them in there, but fitted a couple of PC fans to help move the air around in there, because it's such a tall fridge that you do get quite a big temperature differential between the top and the bottom, especially if it's very hot or very cold outside of the fridge. So at the moment it's just got loads of bottles in there for conditioning. There's a few other things up at the top there that I just didn't have anywhere else to put them, and it's all running off of one of these nice little Inkbird units here at the moment. So I've got the temperature set a bit higher just to get those bottles carved up nice and quickly. These Inkbirds are great. I have got a few of the STC 1000s that you have to wire up yourself, doing different things. So I've got one on the kegerator over there, as you can see, but if I need any more, I won't be bothering building them myself. I'll just be using these because they're so much easier, and there's, when you work out all the bits, unless you're an electrician, it's hardly any difference in price anyway. The kegerator. So there is another video for this one. At the moment I've got the pool ball tap handles on there, another link to a video there, and another link to the video for the Star Wars head ones that I'm just changed up for the moment to have something a bit different. But yeah, there's videos on how I did both of those and how I built the kegerator. I decorate it with these little bottle caps. I just throw a little neodymium magnet on the back of there and painted it with the blackboard paint so that I can write in chalk pen what's on tap. So we've got the Challenger Lager at the moment and the Citron Amarillo IPA, which is a bit of a pokey number, as you can see. There's also some space in there for more bottle conditioning. There's a whole load of Impy Stout in there, which I'm keeping cold because I was scared of it becoming overcarbed over the summer if I left it in the heat. Room for 2 kegs down the bottom there, so it was a real shame that this fridge could only accommodate 2 kegs, because in hindsight I would have gone for something a bit bigger for my first kegerator, so I could have got at least 3 in there, but it was a good place to start. Got a load of stickers on the bottom there from the few different beers that I've got. One of Timmy Jenkins' excellent creations, and a really nice label as well there. And a load of stuff from the London Beer Festival. And I seem to have saved myself one of the labels from the wedding beer as well, which I just did a video on. Then we have, excuse the noise, shelves and shelves of bottles and a couple of mini kegs in there as well. I haven't got that much on the shelves at the moment that's bottled because, again, because of the summer heat over the last couple of months, I had one bunch of wheat beer that ended up seriously overcarbed because I left it in the heat. So I've not got much out on the shelves, but just loads and loads of empty bottles. Glasses up there, obviously for the kegerator. Yeah, lots of empty bottles, really exciting stuff to look at. Not, but yeah, I'm not bottling as much these days since I've got the kegerator. I've got a couple of spare kegs there, so I'll usually try and keep, you know, those with beer in them, so that when one of these kicks I can put something straight in. And even just with a 2 keg kegerator, that still keeps you going for quite a while, so don't need as much in the bottles. And also bottling compared to using the kegs is just a massive pain in the arse, so kind of avoid doing it as much a little bit at the moment. So I might offload some of these at some point, but for the moment just keeping hold of them just in case. I think that might be pretty much it. So like I said, oh, bug zapper up there, that was useful over the summer. Aside from brewing, I do use that workbench for doing other bits and pieces. As you can see, there's lots of tools up there which occasionally get used. Yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to tell you really. So that was the brew shed tour. Hope that was informative for some of you. Lots of you asked for it, so if it was really boring, that's your own fault. But yeah. Oh, one thing that I missed on the way around there, I've just recently got one of these pumps, so I'm using that for whirlpooling, which I'm doing in conjunction with this new twin chiller. So this is the latest supersized version of the twin chiller. Another video link coming up at the top there. And I've basically put together an integrated whirlpool arm that I can attach onto it. Well, I can't do it one-handed because the clip's a little bit stiff, but you get the idea. Whirlpool arm sits there and fires the wort around it to create a whirlpool. So that really is the end now. Hope you enjoyed the brew shed tour, and I'll see you next time.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or duder or, you know, El Duderino.